I was on the toilet thinking, how long would Magneto's prison sentence be? Can you even begin to imagine how long Magneto would rot in jail if he were charged for his crimes? I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. After watching X-Men movies, animated series, and diving into comic lore for way too many hours, I've documented a plethora of horrific crimes that will have Eric Laneshare spending the rest of his life behind bars, assuming they could even keep him there. I mean, we're talking about a guy who can bend the bars of his cell with a flick of the wrist. I'll be covering his offenses in order of sentence length, starting with some light felonies and working our way up to world-ending atrocities. Hearing Magneto and criminal in the same sentence might sound obvious, but believe it or not, even the good guy versions of Magneto have done things that would land him in solitary confinement for eternity. First up, Grand Theft Auto. Yes, this supervillain turned anti-hero isn't above stealing cars when necessary. In X-Men, First Class, he casually yoinks a vintage Rolls-Royce from a banker in Argentina. Sure, the guy was a Nazi, but stealing a car is still a felony. Grand Theft Auto in the US can get you up to 5 years in prison, but let's be real, that's nothing compared to what's coming. Next, let's talk property damage. No, not some minor vandalism. We're talking about Magneto ripping entire stadiums out of the ground, collapsing bridges, and literally shifting the Earth's magnetic poles. In X-Men, The Last Stand, Magneto moves the entire Golden Gate Bridge just to get his crew to Alcatraz. That's, billions of dollars in damage. In real life, causing destruction of this scale is considered domestic terrorism, which carries a life sentence without parole. And we're just getting started. Now, let's talk assault, which for Magneto is basically a hobby. The man has thrown Wolverine across the room like a rag doll, crushed people inside their own helmets, and has a running tradition of wrapping people in metal and tossing them away like garbage. Assault with a deadly weapon, 20 years per incident. And since Magneto cannot go 5 minutes without launching someone into a wall, we're looking at a couple thousand years behind bars for that alone. Oh, and let's not forget the time Magneto ripped the iron out of a man's bloodstream in X2. X-Men United. That's not just murder. That's murder in the most creative way possible. In Rhode Island, first-degree murder carries a life sentence of 25 years per victim. Magneto has killed hundreds of people across the X-Men movies, comics, and shows. So, let's do some math. Assuming a lowball estimate of 500 confirmed kills, that's 12,500 years in prison, and that's being generous. But Magneto isn't just a one-man wrecking crew, he's a war criminal. He has attempted global genocide multiple times, trying to wipe out all humans in favor of mutant kind. His most infamous attempt, X-Men Apocalypse, where he used Earth's own magnetic field to tear apart cities worldwide. This is beyond terrorism. This is crimes against humanity. Conviction for genocide at the International Criminal Court. Life in prison, no chance of parole. Speaking of war crimes, let's not forget that in the comics, Magneto has taken over entire nations, including Genosha and the Savage Land. When you forcibly overthrow a government, that's called treason, which carries a death penalty or life imprisonment. But Magneto doesn't just seize power, he also enslaves people. In X-Men 92, he literally enslaves an entire island of mutants. In real life, 50 years in prison per victim. And again, we're talking thousands of victims here. Let's take a breather, because even after all this, Magneto somehow finds new ways to rack up prison time. How about attempting to reverse the magnetic poles of the Earth, which could have wiped out all human life? In X-Men Evolution, he almost pulled it off. This would have resulted in mass extinction. And last I checked, mass extinction isn't exactly legal. This isn't even a life sentence. This is a life sentence for every person on Earth who would have died. That's 8 billion consecutive life sentences. But wait, there's more. Did you know Magneto has a habit of throwing nukes around like they're hot potatoes? In X-Men First Class, he redirects a fleet of nuclear missiles, almost triggering World War III. Unlawfully launching a nuclear weapon is treason, terrorism, and attempted mass murder all rolled into one. That's multiple life sentences, federal charges, and oh yeah, probably instant execution by the US government. At this point, let's just summarize. Theft, 5 years behind bars. Assault, at least 2,000 years in prison. Murder, over 12,000 years locked up. Terrorism, life imprisonment with absolutely no chance of parole. Genocide, another life sentence with no parole. He's not getting out crimes against humanity, yet another life sentence, again without parole. treason, and war crimes. Either a lifetime in prison or straight to the death penalty. Attempted mass extinction, 8 billion consecutive life sentences. Yes, billion with a B. So yeah, Magneto wouldn't just be serving time, he'd be serving forever times infinity, plus the death penalty on top.